My 8 kids ran squealing through the house. I pushed open the double doors to my bedroom and the sunshine beamed in. There were stairs, 3 toilets, 2 bathrooms, and would you believe, a dishwasher. No more washing dishes for 8 kids. We couldn't even dream of living in a home like this. Before, my family of 10 were living in a dark, dingy, 1-toilet brick house, behind barbed wire fences, locked gates and constant observation. Not like Big Brother watching us, more like Big Father watching over our every move. We'd just exited out of one of Australia's largest doomsday cults, and it wasn't my first. The key to the house unlocked a new life of freedom and choice. Have you ever had to start again? Everything you'd known about yourself,
the people around you,
and the world proven to be a lie? Maybe not even knowing what your place is in society. Let me tell you a little bit more about my exiting the cults and how to make over your life with resilience. I was born and raised in a radical religious sect, most often described as a cult. We had no access to news, media, and no friends outside of our small group. We were socially limited by homeschooling, and as tertiary education was considered a threat, my 8 siblings and myself did not aim for our high school level diplomas. After turning 18 and moving to the big city of Melbourne, I married quickly due to feeling lost and insecure because of my sheltered upbringing. Shortly after, my husband discovered the Order, a strict community life with a strict regime of work, giving everything to the leader, and living behind prison-like security with limited access to the outside world. A few years in, I happened upon a book about cults, which made me realise I was actually living in one.
We ended up spending almost 10 years there.
But we left before the cult leader and sex offender had a chance to touch my daughters. Just in case you're thinking that cults really aren't that common, or you've not come across anybody that's been associated with a cult, let me tell you that there are some 3,000 cults in Australia alone. 3,000. Resulting in some 600,000 people who are actually members of cults. That's the size of Gold Coast and Tweed Heads together. After discovering the mess that I was in and exiting, people often ask, how did you start over with nothing? I was adamant that my 8 kids would have a happy, stable life, no matter what mistakes I'd made and what was going on around us. My dear grandmother used to say to me, Claire, there's always somebody worse off than yourself in the world. So I didn't think that it'd be that hard to restart, you know. I had no idea of how to go about looking for a house, none whatsoever. But we needed to get out of the cult now, like desperate times call for desperate measures. So I was tenacious in my approach with the real estate agents. I just went ahead and applied. I mean, I didn't have a lot going for me. I just exited a cult, 8 kids in tow, no rental history, and living on welfare. Not exactly the ideal tenant, but I was bold and I was honest. And I stated the facts without the pity party. And the agent kindly convinced the owners to take me on. You want a better life, so you need to make sure that you do anything to make that happen. Be determined. If there's roadblocks, you go around them or through them. For me, I had no one to tell me that I couldn't do it a certain way. I just did it. People often ask me, how did I have the finances to start over? I received welfare payments and they went into my husband's account. So I went to talk to my welfare officer and explained the situation to them. Then I confronted my husband. I had told him that the welfare payments need to go into my account, not his anymore. He was shocked and angry that I'd gone behind his back to do this. But without him giving the money to the cult leader or gambling, I was able to save. For the first time in my life, I had access to funds. Opening up my bank account was another adventure. I taught myself to fill out the forms. And if I didn't know, I would just ask for help, direct and honest despite being embarrassed about my ignorance. It took a lot of guts for me to do this turnaround, but I felt a new control starting to take over my life. It was a new beginning for me. 1 month though, I didn't have enough money for the electricity bill, and it was going to get cut off. So I rang up the utility company and I asked them for a payment plan, and they said they didn't have one. So I thought, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I said, I've got 8 kids, the electricity's going to be cut off, we need it, I want to pay the bill, so how are we going to work this? And then they said, well, how much can you afford? Ask and you shall receive. And this is where a lot of people get hung up. They feel shame in asking. Don't feel that. Just ask, explore possibilities, negotiate, cut deals even if you don't think it's going to go anywhere. Have confidence in asking for what you want or need. Because the worst answer you can receive is no, and what have you lost? Absolutely nothing. The reason why I was so bold was because I could remember what it was like to live with the world constantly ending all the time. While we're in the cult, we had to prepare for supposed cataclysmic events. We pre-measured black plastic to go over the windows of our house. The meteorite was supposed to hit the earth and burn it completely, and hell would open and devils would walk the earth. That black plastic stopped us from looking outside, seeing those devils and dying. So every 6 months we would prepare for the world to end. I forget how many meteorites were supposed to wipe us out. Then there was Y2K and the 9/11, all foretelling doom. Constant dictatorship under fear of losing my soul, daily directives, every minute's activities decreed from morning through till night, controlling authorities and community heads. One thing that was very new to me was freedom. There'd not been an opportunity in my life before to experience liberty of mind, body and soul. But now the floodgates opened for me to explore new frontiers in media, fashion, relationships. Because I'd spent most of my life thinking that the world was going to end, once I was out, all I wanted to do was experience everything. Everything and anything I could get my hands on. And now I love to listen to people listen to people talk because I like to learn. But the most valuable thing that I've learnt from this experience is that no matter how bad your day, your week or your year has been, you always have the opportunity and the freedom of choice to create a fresh start. Just after I exited, I felt angry and resentful. I felt like my best years had been snatched away from me without my permission. I felt like life was passing by too quickly for me to be able to fulfill everything I had on my bucket list. But then I looked around and I saw women who were way older than me, only just beginning their journeys of discovery. And I was so grateful that I was as young as I was and able to fulfill things that I had on my bucket list. Being divorced, one of those number one things was to experience true love and find my soulmate. I found him. I knew he'd have to be a really special guy because he'd have to be able to take on not only my past but my kids as well. And I found him. My husband Mark is sitting here in the audience today. So, after a lifetime of others creating boundaries for me, mental, physical and emotional manipulation, I've taken back my power. And I've created boundaries that are healthy for me. My resilience and determination have grown with constant use. And I'm proud to say that my kids also possess these traits. There's a couple of things I want to leave with you today, though. What if we look at change as being something new and not clinging to what is old or familiar? What if we embrace change without being attached to the outcome? No matter how bored or dissatisfied you are with your life right now, each and every one of you have the opportunity to make over your life. Create the kind of life you want to live. Create the kind of life you actually dream about. Create a fresh start, because anything is possible.